Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. Today we are reviewing episode 7 of Masterchef Junior, and it's called Time Travel. The time is spelled T-H-Y-M-E. And basically there are 5 contestants left: Asher, Jordan, Michael, Remy, and Bryson. And 7 weeks before, they each made a dish. And the goal of today's episode is they have to make that same dish, but not that same dish exactly, using those ingredients, maybe adding more, whatever. They're supposed to upgrade their, based on everything they've learned since that episode, and make it into an even better dish. Which, I don't know, I thought it was kind of boring, actually.
Why do you see a lot of upgrading? But,
Well,
by upgrading, it's like, instead of this meat, I'll use this meat. And it's like, yeah, that's not really, upgrading anything. Going from a pork chop to a pork tenderloin is actually, a downgrade to me.
Well, I think so. I mean, we've made pork tenderloin many times, and she overcooked it, which I don't know how you overcook pork tenderloin.
And Safi came up with this idea last night, and I thought it would have been perfect. It would have been such a better challenge if they all had to cook each other's dishes.
Yeah, and they've done that before too, I think.
Here's the dish from that person cooked on opening night. You have to replicate that dish exactly. And that would have been fun to watch. That would have been a lot better.
Yeah, and that would really show how good they are. Except the people they have left, I'd say for the most part, are pretty good.
Yeah, they are pretty good.
And they're not.
But this
season's
just going by so fast. It's almost like a limited event. Because, next week is the semifinal.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I thought it was going to... Because there's 4 left. So it's there's going to be 3 people in the finale. Which I think is stupid. I think that... Why have 3 people in the finale when one of them is going to go home anyway? In the finale. Just because you have a third person in the finale doesn't guarantee that they have a chance at winning. The third person is still going to go home with the second person. So, I think it's kind of pointless.
Well, I'm not sure. How do you know they're going to have 3 people? Because they're not...
Because next week is the semifinals.
So that means just 2 episodes then.
Yeah.
That one and the final.
And they could either send 2 people home, which I don't think they will. I think they'll just send 1 home so that they can have 3 in the finale. And I'll give a couple of reasons. Number 1, because they're all really good. There's not really a weak link anymore. Number 2, they need to increase their chances for diversity reasons. Because right now, let's see, who's left? You got Remy, she's a white girl. You got Asher, he's white. Bryson, he's white. And then you got Michael, and he's Indian. So they need to increase chances that they can at least have 1 diverse contestant in the finale. That's what I think. Because that's what they're focused on. So,
but
right?
Whatever, they're all pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not...
There shouldn't be 3 in the finale, though.
No, I don't like that either. But we'll see what happens. We'll see if Marco's right. And
the only way that would be something that I would suggest that they would do is if these contestants were really, really good, because then it would be oh shit, you got 3 contestants here, any of them could win, and we don't even know because they're all so good. But in this situation, it's I just think it'd be better for 2 contestants. I mean, Because then you can have more of a focus on just the two.
Yeah. And the episode will only be an hour.
Yeah.
So, and it'll be interesting to see, are they going to have them make 3 things? An entree, an appetizer, and a dessert? Like they do with adults? So, but I'm not sure about that either. What do you think?
I don't know, because in regular MasterChef, did they not? Yeah, they did. Yeah. But for the MasterChef Junior holiday thing, they didn't even make a dessert. So.
Which is kind of bizarre.
I don't know. I mean, it's like dessert isn't as important, even though everyone eats dessert, and every restaurant has dessert unless the restaurant sucks. So, like, I don't know. Alright, Safi?
Well, usually, and they'll make a couple signature desserts that'll be special. And if it's a, restaurant. So.
Well, like, why would I trust a chef who can make a steak but can't make a cake? Like.
Well, usually they have the chefs do certain things. They have a pastry chef, and then they have the main chef, and some other ones in between. It depends on the restaurant.
This is Master Chef. It's not just Master Entree Chef. It's Master Chef.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't be a Master Chef if you don't even focus on dessert. But then again, earlier on in the season, or last week, they talked about that s'mores thing being a finale type of dessert. So maybe that was them implying there will be dessert in the finale.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah,
so.
I do. Because Asher made that. That was his family goes camping a lot, and they have s'mores, and so he decided to make a s'mores kind of ice cream dessert. Yeah, and that was a good thing, too. It was very creative.
So if you talk about the episode.
Well, so you got to you were reminded what they made because they went through them. They in fact they brought out 5 entrees, and each one belonged to the one who made it 7 weeks ago. And that week Bryson won it for a ribeye cat, etc. And I'll go through what the changes were at the end, but he won that, and so that actually made it a little bit more challenging for him than anybody else, because if he wanted to win, I mean there was going to be one loser, so it could have been him. So, or it could be him. So, and he had to upgrade his dish when that dish was already really upgraded to a really nice, and it was perfect, and that's why he won. So they had, each person had their dish. It was exactly replicated as it was 7 weeks ago. So then they went to work. They had an hour, and they all seemed to be. Asher, he had a little bit. He had 2 proteins. That's what he had that week, and he had more things than anybody else, and so he also had a challenge to win because he was taking on more than anybody else. So that was the thing with him. So, I guess we'll just they get to what, like I said, it really wasn't a very interesting episode, I didn't think. I thought it was kind of boring.
Well, the challenge left stuff to be desired. Like, it was basically like focusing on, can they make this, meat perfectly? There really wasn't much drama or anything that was interesting going on. Like Bryson was getting a little flustered.
And he said
he always gets flustered.
He said that too. Again, this episode. He says because like I said, he'd already made that really nice dish.
But it wasn't a bad episode. It's just this season as a whole has been kind of like quiet and almost like an afternoon special or something.
Yeah.
You know, like a show you watch in the early afternoon while you're having tea or something.
Oh, well, they did this little thing at the beginning, I guess, because Gordon's bored. And where he was remember I said it was a time machine, but not a TIME, but a THYME, which is a spice, time. But anyway, he got into this machine, and he came out, this little boy, and Marco knew who it was.
Well, I don't know, actually. Never mind.
Well, I don't know. I guess he's...
I don't know why you're talking for me.
Well, that was just... It was just for something, I think, for Gordon to do.
Yeah, Gordon is really bored.
Yeah.
Like, he is so bored. There's a moment later on in the episode where they're talking about the contestants of who did badly in the challenge. And, usually, they're probably not going to say anything mean about the children on camera. Or even, like, imply anything negative, like, even to what we do, type of thing. But they mentioned one of the contestants, and immediately he went, like, ugh. He was like, ugh. Like, that was hilarious. Like, Safi...
And that person really isn't... She... Well, I just gave that part away, but... She has not... she's been pretty... She stayed competitive, I would say, during the whole show. And really, she's been quiet. She hasn't been, people gotten on people's nerves.
But it was funny, like,
bothered people.
He can't even hide it, like, on camera. He was just like, ugh. What'd you think of that, Safi?
I heard it. He was talking about her dish, but I guess we'll just go through it now. After this little stunt with the time machine, he goes back in and he's back to being Gordon again. Not sure the little boy is. Maybe he's on TV. He's on a series or something. I don't know. So anyway, we'll just go through. We'll start with Remy, I guess. The last time she'd made this roasted chicken thighs, creamy mashed potatoes, and roasted carrots and mushrooms. This time she cooked chicken breast. So she made a chicken breast roulade with a white wine truffle sauce, and the mushrooms weren't cleaned. That was a problem because you have to wash mushrooms. You have to go through them and make sure they're all clean because they get dirty. Dirt can hide in the mushrooms. And then she made roasted carrots, and the carrots were underdone. Okay, so those were the two bad things. But the rest of it, the sauce was really, really good, and the chicken breast was cooked perfectly. So, and she'd also made crispy chicken skin too. So they liked all that. So it wasn't.
I like the crispy skin.
Yeah, I knew you would.
I like the crispy skin a lot, but
I didn't think it was that elevated.
Well, I hate the term elevated because it's like, I think that elevating is like subjective, and because like a person who just has eaten nothing but ramen for a week, they're gonna think that a McDonald's cheeseburger is like fine dining. So like elevating these dishes, I think, was a stupid thing because like they really didn't need to be elevated. Like, you can only do so much. Like, in the next 50 years of cooking, like, what are they going to do? Like, just keep on elevating the same old stuff? Like, how can we make the beef Wellington even more beef Wellington-y? Like,
yeah, what if somebody had made that?
Who wants that? Like, what are you going to do? Like, put it in Jell-O? Beef Wellington Jell-O in the 30s?
Gross.
Wouldn't that be funny, Safi?
No. Ew.
Why?
Yeah. So she really, those two things about the mushrooms and the carrots really were pretty minor, but they were, they're looking, because they're so also close in skill level, they're really looking for something to criticize. Okay, well, the next one, and the next girl, I should say, there's two girls, Remy and Jordan. Jordan's the next one. She had made, in that episode, the beginning episode, she'd made pork chops and asparagus and cherry tomatoes. And then she elevated it by making, and we've talked about this, pork tenderloin, roasted pork tenderloin, mashed peas, Marco's bothering me.
You know what would have
Why
been
would he be doing that? Turnips and
yeah.
some kind of apple cider barbecue sauce.
Well, now that I think about it, you know what would have been interesting?
What?
A pork Wellington.
Ah!
That would have been interesting. Right?
How about a chicken Wellington?
I mean, you have to elevate it, so why don't you just put it in a pastry and shit? Like Gordon.
Yeah. Now, Jordan had a little bit of a problem. Because, one, she was rushing to get everything done. And she had made mashed peas. Well, she put way too much on the plate. And she knew it, too. She knew it was a problem. The plating wasn't good. It looked messy. And with the competition level so high, you couldn't afford to make any, really obvious mistakes. And there was just too many of these mashed peas on the plate. She also, and they went on and on about this pork tenderloin at the beginning. It better not be pink, because if it is, you can't eat it. Well, she overcooked it. So she committed a cardinal sin by overcooking that and screwing up the plating. So it doesn't look good for her. Now, I'm going out of order, so Michael was actually the first one.
Well, I don't think anyone cares,
I know,
Safi.
but I just want to tell you that.
Oh, well, nobody cares, so...
Well, I'll tell you what Michael's is, and then let's see. He had made a shrimp, some kind of shrimp dish. But this time, he made pasta tortellini, which is these little shells that you put a filling inside, then you pinch them. Well, he made the pasta, so that was a big plus for him. And he filled it with shrimp, ricotta, and garlic. And he had a white wine cream sauce. And they were just so good, and they were impressed with making his own pasta. They were really impressed. The only criticism they had was Gordon said he thought he used a little bit too much garlic, which made it kind of a little bit overwhelming, but they really liked it. So that looked good. And then we have two more. We have Asher. Now, like I said, Asher had done a surf and turf. So basically, he kind of, I don't know, he made a different, in the first episode, or that first rendition of the dish, he made a ribeye, and then he had the lobster. This time, he had a pan fillet steak, asparagus tips, and let's see, some kind of sauce. And he did really well with the steak and the asparagus, but he did not cook the lobster enough. and it was so bad they couldn't even eat it. So it looks really bad for him, but the plate looked really good. That was a plus for him. And steak was cooked exactly the way they wanted it. It makes me want to puke, because every single person that cooks any kind of a steak, they make a big deal. How is it supposed to be cooked? I mean, it's like a mantra. Medium rare. If it's anything under or over, it's a cardinal sin.
It's like, no matter how many times they do that, I'm not going to order medium rare steak at a restaurant. Like, I want medium or medium well. That's what I want.
But I've always ordered medium well, until I started hearing this, and it's like they can't. It's like, who are they to say what the best cook is?
So what they should do is they should have challenges where they have to cook different temperatures of steak, because people don't always want medium rare.
I know. That's what I don't get. And it's just like, and they have to repeat it with every kid. The kids know. They're not stupid. They know. Like they remember.
They should have an episode called Steak Whatever. And the challenge is that each kid has to make a steak dish and cook it at a certain temperature. So one kid has to cook it rare, medium rare, medium well done. That would be fun.
Oh, the sauce that Asher had made was called a chanterelle sauce.
That sounds like, I don't know what that is.
It sounds like perfume. Oh, anyway, he did really good, except for this lobster, which was really bad. So it's kind of, right now, we only have one more person to talk about. It's Asher and Jordan appear to be the worst. They made egregious mistakes. Like I'm saying, they're looking for anything. The last one's Bryson. He's the boy from Alabama who every episode just about, he says, oh my God, I'm really nervous about this. And he had a right to be, because like I said, he'd made the winning dish. And how do you elevate the winning dish from last time? So, he had a bigger challenge, I think, than anybody. So last time, what I said, he made a ribeye cap, white truffle potatoes, and broccolini. This time he made a New York strip steak and sauteed mustard greens with a, I can't read it's dark in
the
here.
Surprising
bourbon peppercorn sauce.
The surprising part here was that the best thing on his dish was the greens.
And they loved the greens.
So it was hilarious that, like, he has managed to pull that out, too. Like, he did such a good job.
Yeah.
And surprised them like that. And I think that was a moment where you could say, okay, maybe he will be in the finale, because that was an impressive thing to do.
And in spite of being nervous.
I don't think that Shane could have done that from season 5.
Yeah, and in this greens, they were cooked with vinegar, salt, and anchovies. He also had Gruyere mashed potatoes, which in other words means cheesy mashed potatoes, because he all along, he's been associated with cheese. His father was born in Wisconsin, so they're like transplanted to Alabama cheeseheads. So, who wins and who loses? Well, based on what I've said, and they liked Bryson's, the only thing that the criticism that Gordon said was it tasted better than it looked, which I'm not sure how it looked that was so bad. That's the only thing that they said. And it was just Gordon who said that. Nobody else said that unless I missed it. But I watched it twice, so I wanted to make sure I got pretty much what they made. I didn't cover exactly, but you get the drift. And anyway.
The drift?
Of what?
Is that what they say?
Yeah, what happened?
You get the drift?
Okay, so anyway. Marco,
Safi, what does that mean?
so the person who
you get the drift,
yeah,
Safi.
okay. So
Safi, who says that?
I don't know.
What do you get the drift of?
Okay,
what does
Marco.
that mean?
So anyway, the person who won, the winner
Safi,
will also get a trip to a Mexican resort for the whole family.
Do you know the real saying?
What?
Do you know the real saying?
What?
You get the what? What is it, Safi? Come on.
I don't know.
Are you serious? Safi, that's embarrassing. That's really bad. You think people say you get the drift?
How about get the message, okay?
No, what's the main thing that people... Come on, Safi.
I don't know. Let's continue.
Is it because the episode didn't tell you because you don't have any, like, original of thought or opinion to say about it? You're just going to repeat everything in the episode?
What are you talking about? We're telling who won and lost and what their winning was based on and what their losing was based on.
But what do people get, Safi? They get the what? What did they get? Come on, Safi. They don't get drifts. That sounds weird. What did they get?
I don't know. I'll just leave and you can finish it.
Did they get a prize?
Yeah, the winner got a prize for them and their whole family.
Did they
okay,
get...
I'm just going to continue on. Marco can just...
Did they
he
get
went to the dentist, so he's kind of goofy now.
Did they get to do a cartel meet and greet at the resort?
All right, so anyway, who won? Michael won. And he seems to be, I would say he's kind of like a... I don't know. I can see him being a chef. And I don't know about Remy. And Asher, he seems like he could be a chef too. Bryson, I don't know if that's what he wants to do, but he's really good too. So, I mean, let's just say it's very competitive. And these kids, they're not afraid to make really good things. Compared to adults, they seem to sweat bullets over making certain things, but kids always seem to jump right in. They don't express any fear of it at all. So, okay, well, so let's say Michael won, so who else is going into the semifinals? Well, that would be Remy and Bryson. Now we have two people at the lower level, and it's what I said would happen. Asher, who did not cook one of his proteins, it was so bad they couldn't eat it. It wasn't safe. And then the other one was Jordan, who overcooked her pork tenderloin and had a messy plate. And when they're nearing the finale, having a messy plate probably is not a good thing.
She admitted she threw everything together, and she's like, I hope they won't notice.
Yeah, she knew it was a problem. She didn't know about the pork tenderloin, but she did know about
that. Was really funny though. See, that's what I mean. How this season has been so casual. They're one episode away from the semifinals, and there's a contestant saying that they won't notice. They hope they won't notice that the judges won't. That they won't notice that her plating is terrible. Is that really?
And that was the first thing they said when she brought the plate up. The very first thing. Without tasting anything.
That would be if they're doing a karate championship and they're one thing away from the semifinals, and the contestant's I hope they don't notice that I can't do a karate chop. Right, Safi?
That would never happen.
But that's what it's like. It's plating is essential to Masterchef, and to even think that she should have been crying because she should have known it was over at that point.
No, she had a really good attitude about it.
But she
was disappointed, but she
should have
she screwed up.
But she should have been more upset because she acted kind of like they won't notice. How will they not notice that? Come on.
I think she was just trying to be brave. She really wasn't. Compared to some of these other seasons, She really wasn't that bad. She was.
Yeah, she was like a B grade contestant.
Yeah, she stayed fairly competitive. She never really.
Yeah.
She did this thing where she had to make kale. It was the episode where they all had to make something they didn't like. Like Remy didn't like tomatoes, and she didn't like kale. And so they still had to make some kind of dish using the kind of food that they despise. So anyway, so Michael won, and Jordan is the one who went home. So Asher will now be competing in the semifinals too. So that's Asher, Bryson, Michael, and Remy. So I don't know what they're doing next week, and other than it's the semifinal. And that's it. I don't think there's anything else to say. So.
Well, I thought, you didn't really say anything though. You just repeated stuff from the episode. Like, I would say that.
I thought it was boring. I thought it was a boring episode.
Well, why didn't you just say that then? But I thought between Asher and Jordan, they had a really tough choice because Asher made a bad error, and if Jordan's food was cooked properly, she would have stayed. He would have gone home. So they really had to, kind of just pick who they preferred to stay there, I think. There really was no, person who was worse in this episode. Both of them did such a bad job that they both equally deserved to go home. So they had to choose between Asher and her, and they just preferred Asher. I guess because he attempted to do more.
Well, they thought he was more ambitious.
But
and
they don't.
He did good and everything else.
They don't like ambition though. They like people to play it safe and make food from a Chinese restaurant, like Dara.
Yeah.
Or be an attractive blonde housewife or something. They don't want people to be ambitious and take chances.
But he's been really good up until this point. This was a pretty bad mistake. Now, I don't want it to happen either because he's been able to pull it off doing all these complicated things, and I guess the timing just got the best of him. And he's so busy. They're all so busy worrying about how medium well or rare or whatever the steak is.
It's all they talk about.
That's all they talk about. And, I think that affects the kids. So, look at what happened with, every single one of them, didn't they have every single one, except for the Michaels, who did, he made his own pasta. And, but everybody else, it was when they cut into their meat, it had to be this way or that way. So it just, there's so much of a focus on that. So it could be what Marco says, because he'd been really good. He made that dessert, that ice cream dessert, which was really creative, and they had said that is a finale type of a dessert, and so I just don't think that they could send him home. He was so good, and she just made a big double error with the meat, which I didn't think that was that big of a deal. And but we have cooked pork tenderloin a number of times. I don't know how you overcook it. I really don't.
Really?
No. And well, didn't she have little? Usually we cook it in a roll.
But Asher's lobster was raw.
I know. So that's what I'm saying. It was really hard for them. Probably the next week, if something like that would have happened and they would send 2 people home, it would have fit more into their plan. If they want to have a 3-contestant finale and there was 5 people and then they would send 2 people home, that would have fit more into their plan, I guess. So anyway, I think the final will be pretty competitive.
Safi, why don't you grade this episode?
Oh, well,
You just
I
forget
thought it
that?
was boring.
Really?
I give it
Is that because you weren't paying attention to the episode?
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I give it a B minus. I thought it was boring.
I give it a B minus. You know, Matilda, she's like wallpaper now. Like she's not only got her training wheels on, she's got like protective gear on. Because she's like, it's like she can only say a couple of things each episode, and she has to be very to the point and specific, and you know, it's like now it's like starting to get to her that like this is actually like a tough thing to have to do. So, but it's like the other judges can do whatever they want, but she's gotta stay in the background like she's a wallpaper decoration, right?
Yeah. She did say one thing right at the beginning. It was about Michael's dish.
She said, "This is better than half the dishes that come out of my dad's restaurant."
Which, that probably made him mad. And so, she'll probably be punished and really put in the background for that.
Yeah.
So, I think she was just impressed that, I mean, like I said, you know, they've had things for the competitions for the adults where they had to make their own pasta, and you could see them struggling with the pasta machine, and the pasta would break, and it would go all over the place, and it'd be terrible. They have all these problems, and the kid just puts the dough in there, makes the pasta, and also have trouble making tortellinis. They've had that. You had to make different pasta. I remember one competition for the adults, they had to make different pasta, what would you call it, shapes or styles, and that was, oh God, they were all having so much trouble. This kid just whips out makes the dough, whips out the pasta, makes tortellini, stuffed with really good shrimp, all cooked, with garlic and cream cheese, and then it has a sauce and all that, and it's just really good. And so they were really impressed. It was impressive. He didn't act like he was under any stress at all.
Well, I'm not excited for the semifinals. I'm not excited for the semifinals because they're going to do that stupid challenge where Gordon cooks food and they have to follow along.
I forgot.
And I'm really not excited for that because I think that challenge sucks. So, like, for Safi to say that this challenge is bad, it's like, well, next week's challenge is like 1,000,000 times worse. Safi?
Yeah, I don't like, that's really, and it can be really hard.
Really?
Yeah. They've had people have a lot of trouble with that.
Okay, Safi, you're,
That's it. So, you like this video, give it a thumbs up or become one of our subscribers. And we'll see you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.